You're on,
Hello,
Lewis.
hello. We appreciate everybody being here. Welcome to SBG News and Views. Today would be more views than news. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have some wonderful guests. First, my host, my co-host, my partner in crime, Robert Imbraeli is here. Hello, Robert. How are
Hiding
you?
behind the scenes as always. Yes, I'm here. Thank you
Dun,
for
dun, dun.
the introduction. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lewis. Good seeing you, my friend, always.
Yes, it's wonderful being here. Robert, I'm so excited about our guests. One of our guests was actually in the film Cages. Another one was very inspirational and brought a lot of information to the film Cages. And let's announce who we're bringing on because we have Denise Stevens, who I think is the utmost digger on the planet. I mean, she finds stuff that I don't even know how she excises it. She must carry around tweezers at all times picking through trash. I can't figure it out because she comes out with the best information. And some people don't know Manager Jax, but he's an amazing fellow. I met him, spent some time with him in Arizona, and he finds a lot of things. But what I love about Jax is he'll just go right into the belly of the beast without fear and start exposing this stuff. So, without further ado, let's bring on Denise Stevens and Jax.
Hey, Denise. Good to see you.
Hey, nice to see you. How are you, Robert
Doing well, doing well. Boy,
and
you're
Lewis?
bringing the heat today, huh?
Well, you know, I just, I'm just a digger,
That should be a
finding
song.
the nuggets.
Yes. I can't wait. What you been working on?
Well, as you know, or some people may not know who I am, but I have a channel on Telegram called Deep Dives, and what I do is pretty much spend most of my day and night digging for information that is hidden behind most of the internet searches out there, and then I just start finding patterns and collecting data, and then I turn around and write presentations out for you guys so that you guys can also understand along with me and go on this journey down the rabbit holes with me. So that's basically what I do. I pick topics. Sometimes I just pick it, something just comes across the internet and makes me want to dive down that rabbit hole. Or all this picture that's behind me is actually the Q map, which was created by Dylan Monroe. He's one of our truthers, and he created this map, which is amazing, and it shows how everything is linked together. And so sometimes I'll just pick a topic off the map and go go forward. Recently, this last week, I started doing Elvis Presley, and then
Thank
kind
you.
of in
Thank
the
you very
midst of
much.
that, what was that?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Nice. And then by the end of the week, I'm going to transition to Michael Jackson, since I believe there's a connection there. We uncovered that Elvis Presley was MK Ultra. There was called the Elvis Project, and run out, by people like Tavistock, who created the psyop for Elvis Presley using music to brainwash us, basically, getting thoughts in our head through music, through a certain vibration, and he was part of that, and his whole hip swinging and all that was part of it. So we started off with that. We're going a little further. I still have some other nuggets I want to share, and then when we transition to Michael Jackson, I think most people probably understand that he too was MK Ultra. We suspect he was, based on the data and how he acted. And when people are MK Ultra, they have those alters, they have the different personalities, split personalities, and he definitely has been telling us in his music who he was and who he was surrounded by. So that has been my latest, and then in between dives, um, I do I'll just do digs on stuff like the Super Bowl, or I was doing some digs the night of the Grammy Awards because there were some things that were pretty obvious. And so that's what I've been working on of late.
Very, very
So,
cool. So, if I could ask, in regards to Elvis and the hip swinging,
yeah.
does was that was that part of their propaganda, or was that developed to move us in a certain direction? Because there was a lot of pushback at the time. Now that could have been one big game. It could have been one show, both sides against each other. What have you
Yeah.
found in regards to that?
Well, I believe that the hip swinging was sort of like mesmerizing, hypnotizing, and it was.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these people, the people behind Tavistock, and for people that don't know who Tavistock is, Tavistock was an entity, an operation that ran out of London, England, that they were the creators of all of our psyops and propaganda. Over the years, they started secretly around the year of the Federal Reserve. Um, Tavistock came first, was called the Tavistock Clinic back then. And then over time, they have psychologists, psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud was big with Tavistock, creating propaganda to brainwash us. And basically, one of their tenets was that they wanted to see the West, our Western culture, and they knew that music and TV and all that would be the way to do it because people, again, they get, you know, it is television. People
Yep.
get mesmerized and they're susceptible to brainwashing. They figured it out. It's like mathematical. It's a frequency that we have the brain waves and they tap into it, and then behind it they're doing messaging to get us to do certain things, to accept certain things, and most of these people these Marxist intellectuals that were running the Frankfurt School and Tavistock, at the end of the day, who were they? They were Satanists. That's really what this always boils down to. It's like God and the Satanists. And so, that's pretty much who they are.
Yeah,
So,
Tavistock's one of our favorite rabbit holes. We mention it often here. What's interesting about Tavistock is they didn't morph into a propaganda agency. They were created to be a propaganda agency. That was their purpose. In fact, I've said, and this could be a dig for you, I've said I believe that the late 60s, early 70s, that 10 years right there was the Tavistock decade. That was
100%.
10 years of Tavistock doing everything they can to just completely flip us on our heads.
Totally. In fact, I actually did do a presentation on that. The 1960s counterculture, the music, the musicians of that time were a lot of them. There was a military tie. A lot of these musicians, like the Mamas and the Papas, Cass Elliot and the Phillips, their parents were in the military. Like if you just start connecting dots, you'll see that. But their music, their lyrics, even the Beatles was a Tavistock creation. Their messaging was repetition. Because repetition it helps brainwash over and over. She loves you, yeah, 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 over and over. And then getting the kids to be divided and to usher in their agenda and take away ours. So
Yeah, I totally agree. These are awesome conversations. So, Jax, where do you fit into this mix? Because I know you're always digging and driving through tunnels and going places you shouldn't go. What have you been up
I
to?
certainly have a knack for trouble,
Which
but I
is
do go out and seek it. So I guess
exactly.
that says something, right? I think a few viewers will probably know that I was originally in Phoenix last year. My company, which builds different technology products, some of them having to do with digital kind of reconnaissance and surveillance. We decided that moving to Denver, where the Space Force and a couple of other IC programs are located, was a much better move. And so we have just moved about a dozen companies out here to Denver, Colorado. Basically, our goal right now is building unique tech products and putting them to market for businesses and consumers. However, I have a few projects that we've been working on that I think the viewers will find interesting. One of those being that we identify a lot of large scale AI sentiment on a variety of platforms. One of the things that we've noticed is that there is a huge uptick in AI generated narratives that are hitting the social media platforms like Instagram, X, Telegram. And I think it's very important to be aware of this. At the point that we're at with the research that we've done, we cannot disclose much of this online yet, simply because I'm unaware of what the consequences of releasing such large, basically undeniable data would do. So we're being careful with what we're going to be saying today. But what I can say is this: when it comes to that trucker convoy that's been going on in Europe, and also somewhat in the United States as well, the pages that we picked up that were promoting this particular agenda and narrative were all created within the same 10-day period. There's a very dangerous tool that is created by the Israeli Mossad in the United States Central Intelligence Agency with counterparts in DARPA that we're aware of called Alice. And Alice or Snow White, I believe is what this thing is called. And it's a very complex I believe it's a computer, but it has a software component that can create provisional, so meaning like multiple partitioned or multiple identitied personas online. This has gotten incredibly dangerous because what they're doing is they're making profiles on Twitter, Instagram, all kinds of different places, and they will make these accounts look so real, and they will verify them with a blue check mark. But these people don't exist. They're completely artificial intelligence, and they will push huge sweeping narratives. Oh yeah, we've identified thousands of these accounts, and they work hand in hand. It's very crazy and sinister how they work because one of them will post something, let's say, controversial, and the other ones won't necessarily agree. So what they'll do is they'll create the main narrative, they'll create their counter narrative, their opposition narratives, their supplemental narratives, and run them all simultaneously for multiple artificial intelligence profiles. So this is a pretty dangerous thing. For example, let's say profile one posts, there's a trucker convoy, everybody be there. One of the pages might post, I heard this is a psyop, I'm not going. Another page will say something to discredit that page. So all three are run by the same person or group, but they're now discrediting the already predetermined narratives that will come. So they will get ahead of a counter narrative ahead of time.
Right. And here's what's interesting.
It down.
Because I was part of I was a consultant for this convoy in the United States. And we would find, and I predicted this ironically, and I said to the team, I said, whatever we do, we have to send everything back to one website, to designated spokespeople, and that's it, because you're going to have this counter narrative go out there. And we would see every time they would post something, there would be a slew, especially on X, a slew of narratives fighting each other. And what I ended up determining, and it sounds like you were already there before me, is these were bots talking to each other. These weren't even humans talking to each other. Would you agree?
Precisely. And they require zero input. They can just run on their own.
Yeah. And so what they did is, if I'm right, what it appears that they're doing, Jax, is they're absorbing all the oxygen in the room in regards to the conversation. So if you put something out that you think maybe good for we the people, right? These AIs will create this whole counter narrative and positive narratives that you say, and they'll suck all the oxygen in the room, so the real information never gets to the people. Is that what you think?
That is the key. That is the key. That is the key right there. It's one word. It's the same way a fire sprinkler works. It's called suppression. So the instantaneous fire that gets put in is immediately suppressed. The oxygen is quenched off of it immediately. And the way that they do this is incredibly intricate, but it is completely automated at this point. a decade ago, this was not automated. It was very hard to do. They would have full facilities, fusion centers filled with military,
They
garb
did.
wearing
Obama ran
individuals
one that
that
had
would do this.
300 people in it, actually.
Not needed anymore.
Yeah,
We
interesting.
can now rent these facilities. We get contacted all the time by providers that we have to rent these types of machines. And a
Wow.
lot of people, or probably not a lot of people here, but some people may know I build technology that does this too. We get offered from the government frequently. I turn down offers from Koch. Koch brothers have hit us up now multiple times. Their organization's offered multiple six figures. They've had hidden recorded conversations with me at coffee shops. They've tried to pressure us into doing a bunch of weird shit. The reality is this type of technology is heavily sought after right now because the ones who know it exists know how powerful it is. Um, I think last year we did some work for a online casino. One of our agencies did some online work for a casino, and just with that concept alone, within a few months, every person on Instagram was seeing gambling reels and gambling content on their feed almost every single day on Instagram. Became a massive sweeping force. Just to kind of get the perspective of how fast they can get narratives out, they don't need thousands of pages. They only need a few hundred. They sometimes only need a few dozen. And if they are well programmed and well sentimented, these pages can take all of the life away from a narrative.
So, real quick, then, in regards to this, with Elon Musk, do you feel like Elon Musk is trying to fix this, or do you think he's a cover and that he's part of the problem? At risk of you losing business from X.
I have to be careful about how I answer this question because the providers that we use work with X.
All right. So let's move on from that. I think that's the answer that we can disseminate from there. Awesome. So Denise or Robert, feel free to jump in anytime. Denise, what is going on? What would you like to talk about? You did so much work on the Super Bowl and the Grammys. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so did you guys watch the Grammys?
No, I did not.
Okay. So, as per usual, the what I was noticing from the acts, like even the first act, there's some satanic symbolism that they were using. So, at this point, it's like, well, I always want to know, it's like, is this the White House doing this? Are they reversing spells, reversing curses? I don't know. But what was interesting, since the link between the Super Bowl and the Grammys was Taylor Swift, she was wearing, on the Grammys, she was wearing this white dress and she was wearing black gloves,
Mm.
which caught my attention right away because I'm like, oh, here's the black and white. Is this a Masonic thing? Because they always do the black and white checker. But then towards the end of the Grammys, she didn't have her gloves on anymore. She just had her white dress on. So that made me wonder, black is off and it's just a white. And it, makes me think, is she a white hat at this point? Was she at one time an MK Ultra victim who grew up in the Illuminati? I mean, a lot of people have said that she's Anton LaVey's daughter.
Yeah, granddaughter, I think, or great granddaughter.
Is it grand? Okay. And so, did she grow up? Because one of the things I don't think people understand is the way the Illuminati works is that they get done what they need to get done, get people to behave certain ways, is through the MK Ultra mind control programming.
Mhm.
But they also do it to their own children. They are also MK Ultra. I mean, they got to keep secrets. They got to keep their motivations up, but they got to get within to make this happen. I mean, I was just my presentation from last night on the Frankfurt School one of the think tank leaders, he said that you got to get them before they're 10, because after 10, then they're going to be hard to brainwash. So, anyways, I do believe that she is a victim in some way, which just the way that she is, and you can see the altars come out and whatnot. It's kind of like Britney Spears. So, anyways, it's like, well, what happened with her? Was she taken out? Did she get her MK Ultra unraveled? Like, I don't know, but I did notice that she was wearing the white dress at the end with the black gloves that came off. And the glove thing's kind of a thing because at Super Bowl, Usher had his one glove on, and just like Michael Jackson had the one glove. What does that mean? Does that mean New World Order? Um, and then when she, towards the end of the Grammy, she came out, and this is what caught my attention, is she said, "Hey guys, I have an announcement to make. I wanted to let you all know that on April 19th, I'm going to release her new album's going to be released." And when I heard April 19th, the hairs just raised up on my arms. I thought, really? April 19th. And then she talked about 13 being her favorite number and her lucky number, and 13 this and 13 that. Everything was 13, 13, especially in the Super Bowl. They were bringing up the 13 number as well. But so for why did she bring it up? Because I know that April 19th, with these Satanists, with these people, this Illuminati, that is the beginning of the
Go down.
yeah.
So it's very, very interesting.
Well, and there's also another thing that we need to consider is, let's just say it is a white hat operation. Maybe they have to give the illusion, because let's face it, these Satanists, they're magicians. They're into hypnosis. They're into alchemy, which is the drugs. The mind. They're just constantly messing with our frequency fields, and so if they give the illusion that it is that it's really a white hat, maybe that's what they need it to be, because I feel like we've had a spell cast on our land for a long time. These people, when I say these people, these Satanists, these Illuminati, all these people, they have been putting spells on this and that. And so, and they do everything in threes too, by the way.
Oh,
Everything's in threes. Hocus pocus, the witch turning around 3 times, knock on the door 3 times. And then, well, what if the White House have to reverse the curse by doing numbers as well? Maybe it looks like it's from the bad guys, but maybe it's the White House just reversing curses. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting to watch though, and we're definitely in the momentum phase. I think where we the people are starting. They're just throwing everything they can at us because they're just at a loss of what to do. And if it's the good guys, they're throwing everything at us so we can learn. So either way, we win. Now, speaking about the way they do these rituals and stuff, Jax, you moved from Phoenix, which is a satanic haven, to Denver, which is another satanic haven. And,
Worse, honestly.
Jax?
Yeah,
and
horrible.
they're both the cabal is very interested in the ley lines that are under Phoenix and Denver. What could you say about that?
Yes, I can definitely discuss that. Really quick, I want to add something to that. The most devastating player in the game is not a black hat or a white hat, but rather the gray hat.
Mhm.
The reason for this is because the gray hats are hard to discern. Keep in mind, the entire cabal and the entire white hats cannot communicate all the way up and down. There's no way. Because think about how many apparatuses and how many sub-factions you have within these groups. See, the Illuminati doesn't have just like some kind of direct communication all the way up and down. It takes time. And the problem is that when you've got these gray hats, they're the most devastating characters on the field. It doesn't necessarily matter who's a gray hat to us. Somewhat it does. But the really big danger of a gray hat is who are they allied with and what kind of damage can they do? In the case of somebody like Elon Musk, he can do an enormous amount of damage because he can lure the right people in and immediately set them up for some kayfabe failure, meaning something that is completely staged, and lure them into making crazy decisions. So that's something to consider when you're looking at the gray hats or black hats or white hats. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
okay if you don't know,
Yeah.
because they can do a lot more damage.
I think
Um,
that's a great statement. And if we look at the Masonics, what do you get when you put black and white together?
Gray,
There you go.
yes, 100%. Really quick before I go into anything further, the beauty of what we're going through right now as a planet is, I think the Great Awakening is almost over. So we're in like the final days of the Great Awakening. So now we go through two more phases, which is the Great Corridor. And this is a small, short phase that we're going to go through, I believe, this year and next year, where people are going to decide essentially which side of the coin they wish to fall on, whether they wish to be awakened and go to the extra endeavors that lie beyond that, or if they wish to just be completely unaware and just keep holding on to the truth that they have. Some people will do that. After the Great Corridor finishes, and people have decided where they're going to land, we go through a process that I believe will be called the Great Restoration. And so one of the things that my company is very focused on is getting the right people in place to fix a few of the Rubik's Cube problems that will exist once all of the truth is unveiled. You see, people will still need concrete and still need services after the Great Awakening takes place. They just don't want crushed up bone and blood in their concrete like the Cemex plant that we saw together in Phoenix,
Right.
Lewis. So we have to remember there's going to be a lot of things in the society that are going to be broken that people can't use anymore, but will still need. And so as patriots, it's important to understand where you can apply your current understanding and build things that are going to help during that time. It will be up to us. As for Denver and Phoenix having satanic strongholds, oh my God, it's unparalleled how much more satanic Denver is than Phoenix. There are, and I'm not kidding you, Masonic lodges next to every single school I can find. It is mind-blowing how many lodges there are here. And they're incredibly complex, incredibly intricate buildings. In Scottsdale, they were like rundown, small little shacks. Here, they are massive temples made out of incredible masonry work. They're so intricate. And I may not be supposed to say this, but people that I work with have been coming to Denver, and we've been going into the tunnels underneath some of these buildings. And there we've found some pretty fucking alarming things. We went into one of the facilities, and that's just what I'm going to call it, as a facility underneath several hotels here in Denver. There were about 60 people working 9 floors underground. It was incredible. And they just assume that you work there too. They don't even say anything to you. Like, we would talk to people walking October, so I'll be like, hey, like, we're doing a potluck, the items are on the break room, because we walked past like a break room 9 floors underground. So this is just absolutely complex. Huge metal elevators that could lift like a semi truck. It's incredible, like, what all is down there, and it's multi-leveled and just truly incredible. You would never know it's down there. These pathways connect as far as the capital, and you can go all the way around Denver through these systems. Some of the tunnels, as far as I'm aware, very modernized. Those are ones I've been in. Some of them are very old, run down from the 1800s. So they vary in intricacy and complexity and infrastructure. We're currently working to map them out the same way I did in Phoenix. It is a much harder endeavor than I expected. There is very little infrastructure above ground to indicate where these tunnels are. So it's been incredibly complicated. As you may know, in Phoenix, it was very easy to map this out all the way from Sinaloa to Spokane. So this has become a bit of a challenge. In addition, working through all of the satanic strongholds is very crazy, because there is so much symbolism all around the town, and it's very deeply entrenched. You have to really pay attention. The symbols that they're using are not typical to what we may be used to. Just simple color schemes and very subtleties. Wordings on even businesses. People would disregard it and be like, there's no way that business named itself after something in the Masonic realm. But very, very much so. They are signaling directly to them. So it's a challenge navigating the energy here for sure.
Wow. And for you, Denise, and for Jax, do you think there are good Masons and bad Masons, or do you think they're all currently? I'm talking about currently because I can make an argument for in the past 1776 around there, but currently, do you think there's good and bad Masons? And I'm not talking about the lower level are good because they have a clue, they are clueless,
Mhm.
and therefore they become bad. I'm saying going in, do you think there are certain Masonic lodges that are all good and certain Masonic lodges that are all black? What's your thought process, Denise?
Well, I'm not a Mason, so I can't tell you 100%. But if you just look at like the Blue Lodges and whatnot, you do, like you said, you have people coming in there thinking, oh, I'm gonna hang out with my brothers and do some philanthropy. They really honestly are going into these things to feel good about themselves. And but I don't think that the Masonic lodges are telling them full blown the secrets. The real big secret is that it's all about Satanism again. I mean, that is who their God is. And people, they say, oh, it's a Christian thing. No, it's not. It is not. And so I believe that they deceive the people that come in, but they get them to start doing rituals. I mean, this whole Hiram Abiff thing that they do. I think I've shown some videos on my channel. Hiram Abiff was the architect of Solomon's Temple, and he was a master mason. And master mason is the third degree. After that, it splits. You can go to the York Rite, Scottish Rite, and but technically speaking, the from what I've been hearing is that that's actually the highest level. Beyond that, it's just like adjunctive, it's like taking a course and just going back and taking additional courses. But the master mason is where is the top level. And then they hire. So, anyways, the story with Hiram Abiff was that he was these lower level masons, the second degrees, the fellowship craft masons. They tried to get Hiram Abiff to cough up the secrets of what the master mason now.
Yeah. Jax, what's your take on this?
I would say my knowledge on the Masons is not deep enough to understand the complexity or the nature of their structure. Um, what I really look for is the symbolism and then understanding what it correlates to. So checkerboards, I try to understand like what the different checkerboards are representing. And when I see these symbols from the checkerboards in real life, it helps me bridge the gap on maybe what the experience level is of the Masons that are working within that facility or in that area. But it doesn't, I don't exactly think I have the knowledge to speak on the complexities of the duality of the Freemasons.
Right. So this is I've studied this a lot, but I'll just give everybody an indication really quick. So the lower levels of Freemasons, there's two sets of lower levels. One nobody knows about, believe it or not, and I'll tell you about that really quick. So two sets of lower levels. The lower levels are generally good people. They don't have a clue. But the Masons need that because they need the light to cover the darkness, right?
Mhm.
So they do good deeds in their community, so on and so forth. So one of the lower levels of Masons that they don't even know they're Masons are the social clubs. You mentioned one, the Shriners, the Rotary, the Lions clubs, and so on and so forth. They don't have a clue that they're Masonic, and they do a lot of good work. But if you go into their headquarter organizations, which I have looked at, that's when you start seeing, oh, I get it. These are recruiting farms for the Masons. And the way they recruit is they have weird little conversations. I said this in one of my movies. They're at a bar with somebody and they bring specific people in that are up and coming to these large meetings that are generally national meetings, right? And then they have conversations. And they're sitting at the bar and they're like, "Hey, how you doing? This is great." Blah 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 blah. And they find the people that are more agenda driven, or they want to get elevated. and they'll ask them the question. They'll say something like, "Oh man, we're having a drink. I'd do anything for $1 billion." And the other person say, "Yeah, anything? Yeah, I do anything." Go, "I do anything also. Yeah, I do for $1 billion." If the person that they're targeting responds with, "Whoa, I wouldn't touch any of my family for $1 billion," right? They don't even know that they were being attempted to be recruited, and then they just change the conversation. But then when that person responds, "Well, she's for $1 billion, I'd consider it," then they continue the conversation. Next thing you know, they invite them to another meeting. And that's how they recruit a lot of these people that are in decent clubs. They look for the opportunists there and the people that had this certain type of exposure, and then they go through the whole Masonic thing, and it's really a sickening situation. At another day,
AS
we'll
At
go back.
ASU, we used to see it all the time. The Greek life was very clearly a bridge right into masonry.
Yeah.
It was so clear to me. Like once it clicked, it was like, okay, like this is practice for being a Freemason. They want to know like just what you won't do. And once they can figure out if that line can be broken, you're pretty much set. So
100%,
they'll build the
100%.
consciousness. Yeah, they'll build the consciousness frameworks and remove all the limiting beliefs. So that way, when they want to recruit you into an actual Masonic endeavor later, which don't get me wrong, Greek life is, but if they want to get you into something more later, it's as simple as going, well, I was in Phi Tau at Arizona State. They'll know immediately what you've gone through, and they'll be able to
Yeah.
wink an eye and get you in the right door.
That's,
I do
that's
have
a
to
great
run.
point, because that is what they do, and every I believe every fraternity is a gateway to it's Masonic behavior, hands down anyway,
100%.
right? But it's a gateway to be a Freemason, and every fraternity has a different way they handle things. But you're right. When they talk about the brotherhood, suddenly they're like, "Okay, I know where you stand," and that person
Hmm.
doesn't even know where they stand. That's
Yeah.
that's the that's and I hate to say that's the beauty of it, but I talk a lot about is I have to admire the sophistication of the cabal, because they really do a phenomenal job.
I have to
Well,
run because I have a few more meetings, but I'm very thankful that you all invited me back.
hey, it was nice to see you, Jax.
Yes, have a wonderful rest of this discussion. I can't wait to see it.
Thanks, Jax.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
So, Denise, I know that you've done a great job breaking down the Super Bowl. You want to enlighten our people at some of the things that you saw in
Yeah.
the
Oh, and real
Super
quick,
Bowl?
just to round off this the Masonic um conversation, is that the more people are aware of, like you guys were talking about, the recruiting grounds and whatnot, that to maybe this will change behavior. Maybe parents can have conversations with their college kids about, the fraternity life and what that could bridge them into down the road. Even like the demolays, the child, the groups that they get the children into. And I know the demolays, I believe, is a male for little boys and whatnot. And then you have your Eastern Stars. I mean, it all is tied together with the Masons. And the higher up you go, I mean, the 33rd degree, are we, is that what they're doing? And as far as the Shriners go, I mean, I just feel like they're one of the worst.
Mhm.
These Shriners, they also have another secret level above them called the Jesters. And then above them, the secret order of the Blood Brothers. I mean, what? It's like, what? So the Shriners, they show up at these parades wearing clown outfits. That's what they are. They're clowns. They're in and around children, always in and around children, around the children's hospitals and whatnot. It's like, why? Why are you always in and around children? That should be a question everybody should ask, and start picking, which is going to be aware of symbols. Go on. This is one thing I do a lot in my research. If I find something I want to dig into, I I go to Yandex first. This is the Russian search engine. That's where I go first to get my information. But then if I want to get some fine tune some information, I'll just go straight to their Facebook pages and just start looking down. And inevitably, I'll start seeing the symbols, like the Boys and Girls Club. That's another place where the Masons have embedded themselves in and around children. So, anyways, if people want to go to like Facebook or Twitter and just look down at the pages and look for symbols that might be associated with the Masons and like who is this big club, then that's what I suggest for people to do. And like you were saying about the social club, the Rotaries, if you just look at their emblem, they've got that cogwheel. I mean, it's a whole nother Masonic symbol. And the Rotarians, if you look deep into them, I mean, they're tied to Bill Gates. And they were their whole big mission statement was that they wanted to eradicate polio.
Mhm.
And it's like, isn't it already pretty much eradicated? So why are you guys keep going to Africa on these missions to
Right.
eradicate polio? Why? Why are you going over to Africa to be around the African children? So these are the questions that I ask. And when you start thinking in these terms and you start going and looking them up and looking on Facebook and looking on Twitter, you're going to just see all the symbols and the dots will just start get connected. So
No,
anyway, I just want to get my
it's
phone.
so true too. In full disclosure, because I have to be authentic, there was a time that I was actually a Rotarian because
Okay.
I was approached by a mayor in the city, and they seemed to be good people, and it worked good. And locally, I could say all the people I met were phenomenal, and those people that went, they did go to India, so on and so forth. But it's not again. That's the cover. That's the cover. And so what happens is I don't doubt that they've embedded, appeared. They just disappeared. And then they moved to Africa. And my question always was, they're saying that it was 99.9% eradicated. So why spend so much time? And then why would Bill Gates invest? I think 2 years ago it was $41.5 billion into Rotary. And like red flag city.
Major red flag.
You know what I
Major
mean?
red flags. And anytime that anybody wants to join any of these clubs, if you approach it that way, then you might hesitate to go forward with, joining because you may
Yeah,
find some
you're
things there
you're
that you may
right.
not like.
Yeah, because just on a local level, they may do wonderful work. We did great work. But what's the intention of the top people? And that is what I found didn't did not resonate with what other local organizations are doing. And one
Mhm.
last note, I had a conversation with Robert David Steele. I had a
Aw.
couple. Some of them were very contentious. He didn't like me because I don't. Well, I just think they were contentious just because I was kind of disagreed with some of the things he had, and he's not a man you want to disagree with. He didn't. He didn't.
Harvesting in those hospitals and they get, I mean, I even had my little nephew, I think I told you the story, it was about 2 years ago. He drowned in one of those little doughboy pools. He was only
Oh,
2.
wow.
And they got his organs, a couple days had passed. I don't know if you know Heidi from Watch the Water, but she actually did a dive and drove all the way across country to meet with this physician who's been telling people that this whole thing about brain death, that there's no such thing. And it's like, or what? It's like, if that's true, then how many people have had their organs harvested for these people? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
that's a rabbit hole everybody needs to read. If you want to go to her channel and just type in the keywords, you'll find it. She did an amazing job. So, but anyways, I would just tell people, just be careful. Be careful who you're sending checks to.
Mhm.
Everybody wants your money. We're keeping these people afloat. People just stop donating to these people. Even when you go into Safeway and you check out and it's like, oh, well, would you like to donate? No, don't do it. because everybody in the store does it. You've just fed the beast again.
Thank
So
you for bringing that up. I'm
I
so
say
happy you
just
brought it up.
go
Do
local.
not
Yeah.
don't donate to any of those grocery store stuff, any of the store stuff. They automatically go to very large organizations. They have no tracking. They have absolutely, they feed the administration. Let's say they don't even feed the beast. They feed the administration of that organization. So your money doesn't get anywhere. It's a total outright scam. And what it is, it's virtue signaling by the stores. And what happens is the stores take the money that you donated, right? And they act as if it's their donation. So it works to their advantage. So you're only helping the stores. And I think a lot of these are sacrificial places too. I've seen a couple of them and I'm just like, well, there's no way I'd give money to that organization. And it's really easy. Oh yeah, $1, or let's up my change to a whole dollar. No, I would say thank you for saying that. Stay
But
away
what
from them.
about at Christmas time? Who are the people ringing the bell? The Salvation Army?
Hmm.
You're putting money into a cauldron.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, it's like,
Wow, great point. Yes.
and that's a whole nother. We did a deep dive on Salvation Army too. Yeah, these are just the same people. They're disguising who they really are. They have their front groups, and they use people who have no idea. Like you were saying, people that go into the Rotary Club or whatever, they're just going in there to feel good about themselves and do something honorable. But in reality, there's a whole hidden agenda behind it. So
Yep.
that's why that has been actually the impetus for the whole art my channel. It's just exposing who all these people are as much as we can. Just there's a lot of them. So anyways, that's
Yep.
that on the Masons.
Yes. Yeah, we covered that. So, what did you find on the Super Bowl that was a little bit wacky for you?
Oh yeah, so well, prior to the Super, okay, so I have to ask you, who did you think was going to win the Super Bowl?
Kansas City.
You did.
Yeah, yeah. I
See,
called it.
I was hoping it would be the Niners.
Why? Because I didn't put hope into it. I just put the satanic thought process into it. And they had to get Travis Kelce, who was a demon, on stage. In fact, Travis Kelce went on stage to speak in some freaking weird ass mantra that he did. He had no reason to be on stage because he didn't even play a good game. He wasn't the MVP of the game, right? But they did the whole Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce narrative. He got paid $20 million for a minute working with Big Pharma. It's just way after the information was out there. So me personally, because of that, I felt like it was going to be Kansas City. And of course, they won in dramatic fashion and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I was hoping, with the 49ers represent gold.
Gold, yes.
And so, I think a lot of us were thinking, oh, and all the 13. I don't know, it was just I was hoping that this would be ushering in good times. But not to say that it's not, but I don't know that we're going to ever really know when it happens. I think it's going to be secretive, and it's not going to be something just like going back to dates. You can't, predicting dates. I think this was just another one. We all thought we could predict this one, but no. But hopefully it's just exposing, on that note of Travis Kelce, when I got home that night, I was so pissed that they won. So I went and just started doing a deep dive on Travis Kelce. I'm like, who
Ooh.
is this mofo? But it turns out he has appeared in print, television, and online advertising for the following people: Dick's Sporting Goods, McDonald's, Nike, Papa John's, Bud Light, Old Spice, Wal. That just sickens me. So, anyways, when I got home, we went to a friend's house. They had a party, and I come back and Vaughn, and my husband Vaughn is every night we're doing digs together. We watch a lot of videos, and so his mind is tuned in just like mine. And I come in the room and he's like, "You're not gonna even believe how many passing yards Patrick Mahomes had." And I was like, what? How many? And he's like, 333 yards. I'm like, no. So then we started watching the post game. It was filled with the how they did it, all the rigging. If people just looked at the numbers, they would realize that the game was totally rigged. So, when they got to Patrick Mahomes, so Patrick Mahomes, this was his third Super Bowl win. He had, like I said, he had 333 passing yards. He had 9 rushing attempts, which is a 333.
That's
And
right.
then he had 66 rushing yards, which is a 3 3 is a 3 3 3 3 3. So it was all just a bunch of threes. And then was I think it was whose wife was it? Oh, it's the coach of the Chiefs. What is his name? I forget his name.
The Chiefs coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somebody will put it in chat.
Oh, it's Andy Reid. Okay,
Andy
that's what
Reid.
it is.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Thank
So
you.
his wife gets on there showing off her Super Bowl ring, and she's doing I don't think you can see it. Three. She throws up the Illuminati three, and then
So did
they
Kelsey,
put
by the way.
what was that?
So did Travis Kelsey, by the way.
Oh, totally. I saw that.
Yeah.
Doing their symbols. And then what I found it was really funny. So when they were talking about Andy Reid, they said he was the third, three oldest NFL coach to have won a Super Bowl. I'm like, oh, there's another three. So, Patrick Mahomes. And then when you get down to Travis Kelce, what was his? I know okay, so he had 9 receptions, that's a 333, and then he had 93 yards. That's a 333 and a 3. So I think the theme of the Super Bowl this year was threes. And remember we talked about they do things in threes, the
Mhm.
33rd degree Mason, was that why they were doing it? I don't know. But then I did see something for Christian McCaffrey. So if you spell out Christian McCaffrey, it's Christ, and he had some cool numbers. Now I feel like he's on the good side. He had 8 receptions for 80 yards. That's an 8-8. And 8-8 in gematria is Trump and time travel. And so when I saw the 88, I'm like, oh well, that's cool. Um, and then what else? Oh, the 13 was a big theme as well. Um, it was Super Bowl 58, so 5 plus 8 is 13. It was on February 11th, so 2 plus 1, or 12 plus 1 is 13. And then it was versus the 49ers, that was 4 plus 9 is 13. The halftime score was 10-3, so that's 10 plus 3 is 13. The Chiefs wins, the 3 wins with Kelsey. They put 13. I don't know what that number was. And then I don't know what that last one. It was something with 13. I didn't get it. And then of course, all the 13s with Taylor Swift. It's her favorite number. She was a what was that? The Grammys 13 times. So it was just
Mhm.
all these 13s and all these threes. And oh, and one other thing. The guy who the final drive, remember it was tied up and then the Chiefs were coming back. The Niners were up by 3. And at the very end, it was on the 3-yard line, the person caught the touchdown for the ending score. There was another 3. But get a load of this. I saw somebody say that number 33 blew his coverage. Number 33 on the Niners. So I looked into him. And I don't want to say his name because I still my allegiance is to the night. I don't want to go too far with this, but I did a little dive into him. And I said, oh, you know what? That guy that number 33 in the Niners had not even played one game during the regular season. They called him up around Thanksgiving. He was on a Disney cruise and to have him come play. So it's like interesting because one of their best defensive players went down in the first quarter. And did you see the video of that?
Yeah, yeah.
And did it look like he kind of didn't really?
It was weird.
It was,
He kind of walked onto the field and then fell, and it was all over for him. The only thing I said, because my wife pointed it out, I believe it was my wife pointed out, that it looked like he did it on purpose. And I said it could have been on purpose unless it was an Achilles, because I've had an Achilles injury, and it's the weirdest thing when your Achilles pops, you just go down. But to me, that looked very odd as well.
yeah. And imagine him going out and this other guy going in
Right.
who could blow a coverage. I actually talked to this guy once who he's pretty away. He said, you know what? You only need 8 people on that field to be in on it. Like, I don't think all the players, again, this just goes back to how they operate in the first place. It's only a small percentage that knows what's going on.
Right.
And I think that they get embedded in there. I think some of the kickers are easy ones that they could miss a kick, sway a game one way or the other. And then they might have these people may be athletic enough to be on the field, but maybe they aren't, maybe they're just there to steer a game. 4 on one side and 4 on another. That's all you need, plus the refs.
I've said something close to this. I said, when people say the game's 100% rigged, I'm like, it's not 100% rigged, but it is definitely pushed in certain directions. And I said a little bit lower number. I said you need 3 on each side, 3 officials, and a few coaches. That's all you need. And then the other players don't even know you're throwing it either, because all they do is they yell at you. You're out of position. I can't believe you did it. Sorry, my bad.
Right.
We'll get them next time, right? But they know the outcome that's supposed to be in the game. So you and I are on the same exact page with that. I absolutely do not think it's wholesale everybody. I don't think it's a bunch of robots throwing balls around either. I think these are many of them are trying really, really hard, but they're clueless that the most games have virtually already been decided.
Yep.
It's just how the officials call the game and how certain players will throw it. I would agree. I've looked from the top view. Have you ever done this? You look from the top view video, because I used to play football, and I look at it and I could see when somebody blows coverage. Now, in high school, if you blow coverage, it's a big deal. In college, you rarely blow coverage. In pro, you should almost never blow coverage. And it happens so often. It's like, okay, these are professionals. They're making millions of dollars and they don't know where they're supposed to be based on the lineup they're seeing. Doesn't even make sense. And those are my red flags to know, okay, so you can almost point out, like you did, 33, that looks like an issue. You know what I mean? Very.
Yeah. And, and the other thing that I keep the door open for is, like, we know that that the Super Bowls is like one of the things are happening because there's some kind of a sting operation going on, that everybody's, look here, not there. Like, I felt like last year, that was just me doing decodes, is I felt like the whole thing with Damar Hamlin that happened, I feel like that was a sting operation of one of the Cincinnati hospitals, where I believe that they were doing the organ harvesting.
Oh,
okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, because I was like, and Damar Hamlin, if you look back at him, he was, I think he was 13, but he used to be 33. Or maybe it was the other way around. He changed numbers mid-season. It's like, why did you change numbers? Most people don't change their number. So what if he was put in to help with the sting operation? Maybe he's not the normal person that would be a safety, or whatever position he was. But what if they brought him in for that game so that he could fake it out, because they brought him to the same hospital that weeks and weeks before that Tua Tagovailoa had gone to when he went down with the head injury. Both of them happened in Cincinnati. Well, what if Tua first goes to that hospital and they get their people in place, and then now Damar Hamlin goes there and they really are able to sting operation? Because right after that, I think the chief of one of the transplant departments stepped down right after that Damar Hamlin game. So I thought, you know what? What if that's what it really was all about? And we just think it was Damar Hamlin.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
No, that's a good thing. So I'm going to connect to that subject, and then we'll let you go. Is my belief system, and people are upset with this, is I don't think everything will be disclosed,
Yeah.
especially the players. And when I say the players, I'm not talking about sports. I'm talking in general the players in this awakening. And here's why. Because I believe, great example you used is that person just stepped down. I believe, and Robert David Steele would harp on this, is he says without reconciliation, we'll never have a win. Right? That's the reality. So I have a feeling that what they're doing is a lot of these people, let's just assume this guy, they'll say, okay, you're going to step down. We're never going to expose you. You'll retain your legacy, but we're going to put you in Gitmo later outside, or you give us all this information that we need to take down a lot more, and we'll preserve your legacy with your family and so on and so forth. So I know this upsets people when I say this, but there's some common sense in this theory.
Yeah,
Is
I agree with you on that too.
Yeah, so that's what. So you do agree with that? Okay. I
Yeah.
just don't see another way it could get done. Not that I want them all to string up, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get my wish.
Because what if they agreed to coughen up information just so they didn't have to be hung and got the injection instead? I mean, who knows?
Exactly,
That they
exactly.
cough something up for the good guys, so in the way that we all think it should happen.
You're right, right. Let me address something in this chat just to shut it down before it gets started. Somebody saying, Lewis, I respect you or did, but you need to rethink Clay, Flynn, and Juan. Have I ever said that I was connected to Clay? No, I've kind of exposed some things that Flynn are doing, so I'm not quite sure if you're just trying to start shit or not. And I know certain things about Juan that absolutely I guarantee you don't know, and he's definitely doing some good things in the background that people have no clue about. So you can say whatever you want, and if you don't respect me because of that, well, kick rocks. So, anyways, Denise, where can we find you?
You can find me on Telegram on the channel called Deep Dives. And then also I've have some videos on my Rumble channel, which is Deep Dives with Denise. There's a number of them on there. So
All right, awesome, awesome. Robert, you've been in the background this whole time, and I know you've been itching to watch me do this. I know you have. Here we go. He always wants me to spray my face with Neumi, which is actually Neumi Skin. It's a wonderful product. I'm 124 years old. I only look 80 now because of this, which is fantastic, right? It's really, really amazing stuff. It's glutathione. Guys, you've heard us talk about glutathione. We have the NutraSwish with glutathione. They have hers for women, and I can tell you it makes my life really great. Anyways, these are fabulous, fabulous products. If you like to support the show, just go to the link below and get your Neumi today. Thanks for hanging on through that, Denise. You've been wonderful. Appreciate everything you bring to the table, and I
yeah,
hope
thanks for having me on. This was fun.
yep, I hope we connect soon on some stuff. Thank you
Oh
very
yeah, for
much.
sure.
Thank you, Denise. We appreciate you so much. Thank you,
And
Lewis.
thank
Yes,
Great
thank you,
job.
Robert.
Yeah, we're gonna
thank
have you
you,
back, no
everybody
question.
in the chat. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
And now we'll play our outro. Go,
Really? Just go like that, huh? I'm
go,
not
you
even queued up
go,
yet.
go outro. So you want me to start singing the song? It's not.
Yeah, you
It's
can
not
start
gonna.
dancing too if you want to.
Yeah, it
Hey, what
ain't
do we have
gonna
coming tomorrow?
happen.
You have a special show coming tomorrow. You haven't talked about.
We do have a special show coming tomorrow. Do we? It's just the news. But I am going to address the what I call the real epidemic in our country, and that's mental health. And that's virtually all this social construct that we see, this politically correctness, I believe, is a mental health issue that they're trying to cover up. So we're going to address that directly. Was that what you're referring to?
That's what I was referring to. There's got to be a
Great
reason to
stall
come back
tactic.
tomorrow to come and watch us again.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Great stall tactic also. Thank you, everybody. God bless. And good night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.